Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the Mitsubishi Attrage, which is one of the cheapest cars you can buy in Dubai. Costs around rupees 6 to 7 lakh rupees. Now this is the pre-facelifted model. There's also facelift which has come, which has slightly revised bumpers, lights and more equipment and a better infotainment system. That is the engine, really very chintu-mintu, and when I say chintu-mintu, it is absolutely not producing any power or torque. There's insulation right there, you can feel or see the vibrations as well. Now this car has a lot of special bits, like the bumper has aerodynamic vents so that it's able to reduce drag around the wheels, and this has been like very well planned in order to ensure that the wind passes through that cuts and crease. Alright, and the tire size happens to be 185/55/15 alloy wheels on this car, which is a revolutionary feature. It gets lights at the front which are known as headlights. There are fog lights here along with the chrome surround. There's a towing hook because probably it might need it, and there's chrome along with the tri-arrow treatment. Oh no, that is actually the Mitsubishi logo on this car. Coming to the side, well, this is not sub 4 meter, it is more than 4 meters. Sub 4 meter cars really don't sell in Dubai, but I have seen some Desires already. But you know what, this car actually competes with the Honda City as well as the Hyundai Verna. However, this is actually much more attractively priced. The wheels are like really small, so it kind of feels out of place in that regard. There's an antenna here on the top. The design is not that appealing as such, it's fine. Actually, the Attrage is also known as the Mirage G4 in certain places. It's actually the Mitsubishi Mirage Sedan version. Now the hatchback is the Mirage, of course. There's a real exhaust, so Faisal can't fingers of truth. Not really happy with that because that is kind of rusted and it's vibrating so much now. There's a towing hook here, so they've put towing hooks in multiple places because probably the car actually needs it. Straight away, I'm going to get to the rear seat where actually there's decent amount of space on offer. So you can see a good amount of knee room and legroom. In fact, legroom and knee room is actually very nice. No scooped out seat back, magazine holders which are actually drooping right now. And there are no door pockets at the rear. Why is that? I have no idea. Okay, it's not wide enough for 3 people, but headroom is not adequate at all, unfortunately. Underside support is also not that great. There is a cup holder here. No creature comforts at the rear, so that's kind of disappointing. And there is no magazine holder here because the person who sits behind the driver cannot read any magazine. Meanwhile, there is a center armrest with twin cup holders, and the center passenger thankfully has a head here, handle to hold on to everywhere except for the driver, of course. That is the dashboard of the car. Actually looks decent, but with the updated model, like with the facelift, things have changed quite a bit. The interior is more appealing, of course. So you know what, this car has actually replaced the freaking Lancer. I don't know what Mitsubishi is smoking, but they're smoking something really hard, and you have to get your own push button start. That's why they've given a slot right there. In order to open the boot, you press this button. Sometimes when you're getting out now, you accidentally hit that button and the boot automatically opens. Now that's another level of powered tailgate in this car. Boot is actually chintu-mintu types, decent size, I would say, better than what we've seen in sub 4 meter options. But Honda City has bigger boot, but then Honda City is also slightly more expensive. Again, spare wheel is an alloy with a full size spare wheel. That's a good thing, actually, full size tire, whatever. Let's shut this. There is no reverse parking camera on this particular car. There's an indicator also in the light just in case you care about it, but I'm sure you don't. Door pockets are like decent size and they're always filled with stuff because there's nothing to store at the rear. And this car has been customized for me. That's the reason why the carpet says FK with a diamond. There is a dead pedal. I think there is a dead pedal there. There's a traction control button, but the engine has no power. Only what traction will it cut? That's kind of surprising. There are seats at the front where you can actually sit if you so prefer, and even though you can, I think, you can adjust the height, you're still sitting so high up, it's like you're driving an SUV almost. Now the quality levels are fine, but plenty of hard plastics here and there. Of course, air conditioning is off, but it still feels like the air conditioning now on. No auto dimming inside rear view mirror. Now the updated model actually gets a 7-inch touchscreen right here along with the rear parking camera finally. But there's a mirror on the driver's side, but there's no mirror on the co-driver's side. Iska to ulta hota hai India mein. Usually it's the co-driver which gets the mirror. I think mirror is always has to be on the left side. So piano black finishing, air conditioning which works decently well, but in this heat it's not able to manage and it kind of gets really very noisy. There's some storage space here and there, the USB charging socket, blah blah blah, blue, and there's a gear lever, handbrake, and like I told you already, the cup holder. Now there is a big glove box which is filled with a lot of stuff, and there's storage space here as well. Now what is this? It gets navigation. It might have an old school infotainment system, but it thankfully gets navigation, although I've not been able to download all the maps of navigation. The only map I have right now of navigation is of the Expo 2020. So this is the navigation feature of this Mitsubishi Attrage. I know it's a really bad joke, but that's the fact. This car is actually kind of under equipped, but it still gets 6 freaking airbags. Instrument cluster is basic. It shows you speed, and there's a tachometer and eco mode indicator and a lot of telltale lights, and here you can obviously browse through a lot of stuff. The multi-information display is actually quite rich. It shows you a lot of information, which is quite impressive. I like it for sure because a distance to empty and 20 meters, what's your fuel economy and all. It's got audio controls on the steering wheel, it's got cruise control as well, and it's got wipers at the front which work when you actually pull the spray. It has a lot of water as well which comes there, but the wipers are kind of ruined, so it makes a lot of noise as well. The lights are fine and all that stuff. I'll just show you the key of the car. This is the key of the car. Again, the tri-arrow treatment there, as well as on the steering wheel. Mind you, a lot of stuff which I'm saying is sarcastic, don't take it seriously, we're just having some fun in this vlog. So yeah, that's about it. I have nothing else to talk about. This is like the shortest walk around I've ever done in my life, but something to hold on to your hook or jacket, and proper 3 seat belts at the rear as well. Let's get into reverse, and there you see the reverse parking camera does not get adaptive guidelines. In fact, it doesn't even get a camera. That's so revolutionary, this reverse parking camera of this car. The horn, it's very meek, not interesting at all, and it doesn't look perceived, I mean the perceived quality doesn't look cheap, but so much hard plastics. Like Mitsubishi, how could you replace the Lancer with this? Chalo, gaadi chalate hain. Alright, we're all set to go, which means turning on the car. It turns on as well. Air conditioning off into drive mode, and we're going to turn off traction control as well. Traction control off, handbrake down, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor, rev still 2500 RPM. That is 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 13.3 seconds. Performance is really very lackluster because this is a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine which has no grunt whatsoever. In fact, there is a ton of body roll. It feels very nervous to drive this car because it doesn't have any front end grip as such. I don't know, surprising how bad this could be. Anyways, around the corners you can't feel where the car is actually pointing because it just feels kind of very lackluster. Onto the throttle, response is very poor indeed because this 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine produces just 78 horsepower and 100 Newton meters of torque. That's like nothing, to be really honest with you guys. But hey, the steering is actually light, which is easy for maneuverability. It doesn't weigh up as such, feels very vague, and there's so much body roll. It's absolutely insane. The ride quality is good though, but you know, you get on a rough patch of road and then you can see how the ride quality completely deteriorates. Ton of body roll, like crazy amount of body roll in this car, and the steering is so freaking lackluster, especially in the center head position. You have to keep counter correcting because you don't know where it's heading, and then there's roll, and there's even more roll from this car. The engine is like really disappointing here, to be honest, and then matters are made worse by this really slow shifting CVT box as well, which has a lot of rubber band effect. Firstly, it's very lethargic, very slow, and then it just slots at 5000 RPM and keeps revving, makes a lot of sound. Not only is the engine noisy, even the road noise and the wind noise is very apparent inside this car. So yes, it is cheap in the real sense. I don't even know how they even decided, you know what, let's do one thing, let's replace the Lancer with this thing. In fact, Mitsubishi ko bhi Attrage nahi tha, right? The Attrage, they call it Attrage. I was trying to crack a very bad joke and I miserably failed at it. Never mind, we have kind of reached a place where there is absolutely no road, which means that we have to take a U-turn and try to come back from this side, because if I take this front wheel drive car up there, now it's going to get stuck. Now you see, maneuverability is so good that with one hand I can twirl the steering wheel, but still I have to reverse because obviously it's not going to go through. So here we get into reverse, and yeah, the steering is super duper light, very easy to maneuver, which is actually a good thing. And onto the throttle, yeah, it doesn't respond at all. It just doesn't respond. However, as bad as the engine is, the mileage is just quite the opposite. It is a very frugal car. It returns a fuel efficiency of more than 20 kilometers per liter. I think the claimed mileage is 20.4 kilometers per liter. I have actually managed to get 20 kilometers per liter from this car because it is just so good. Now obviously Dubai roads are super smooth, super makhan. Along with that, you cannot ignore the fact that on Dubai roads there are a lot of highways, so you can comfortably cruise along. Yeah, now overall visibility is actually quite nice in this vehicle, but I'm not really impressed by the engine. I'm not impressed by the gearbox. I'm not impressed by the handling. I'm not impressed by the steering wheel. Faisal, what are you impressed by? If nothing is impressive in terms of the way the car drives, then what is there to buy this car for? Well, only for the cheapness. If you're looking for something on a budget, this is actually a good car. Now with the facelift, they made amends, but the engine continues to be the disappointing unit that it is, and it's actually a very light car, weighs under 1000 kgs or so, I believe, and that's the reason why it's also so fuel efficient. Now there is actually a B mode here, which is like a boost mode or whatever mode you want to call it, which improves the performance of the car by 0.00004%. So we're going to try that by stopping there. Now brakes are fine, it stops the car, that's about it. It doesn't really reassure you. Suspension is soft and soggy, so you can see slight nosedive under heavy braking. Now traction control on and off doesn't make sense. Here we are getting into boost mode, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, revving the motor. I am not even kidding. It is really very nervous. Yeah, very nervous. High speed stability is also so again, nothing great. I mean, what have they made? Mitsubishi, you are the people who made Lancer Evolutions, and you are making such kind of cars. Come on, you can do a lot better. I think Mitsubishi just given up on car making. They're like, jo banna hai banne do, because they can do so much better. This is such a disappointing car. Thankfully, they did not launch it in India, because they were planning to launch it in India, and then they decided against it because they're like, chalo bye bye, hum chalte hain. So Mitsubishi actually did a GM before Ford could do a GM, and they left India. This B mode absolutely makes no change whatsoever, and there you cannot manually change the gears or something of that sort. There is no manual mode as such. Now obviously this is a CVT box, so multiple steps as such. Can things get noisier than this? Top speed is around 140 kilometers per hour, I think, assisted by a downslope or a cliff, because the car just struggles past 100 kilometers per hour, although 13.3 seconds to 100 kilometers per hour is not really bad. Now I was checking the prices of this car. Around this particular model should come for around rupees 7 lakh rupees, which is quite affordable as such. We don't even get the Swift in India for that price, and here you get a proper sedan, not a sub 4 meter sedan. So like, in terms of value for money, this is a very hard car to beat. Because of the sheer value for money, I would say it's still worth considering if you want something really very cheap, basic, yet which is very efficient, and then obviously comes with the reliability of a Japanese car. And there's nothing wrong in the sense the car is the way the car is able to manage city driving, because there's where it excels. Out on the highway, and most of the roads here are highways only, there's a problem, because if you want to make a quick overtake, you don't make that overtake, because it just will not be able to sustain that overtake. It doesn't have that performance, it just doesn't have that grunt, and that is where things are disappointing. In fact, this car is so boring to drive that I think I'll just have a sip of water right now, because I'm just getting so bored. The water tastes way better than this driving experience of this particular Mitsubishi vehicle, and because I'm getting bored, I've just used the wipers maybe, or maybe let's do an audio test. Why not? Get down. Yeah, audio quality is actually quite decent for a car of this character, and then along swinging corners, it does roll so much now that once I actually got out of the car, fell off it, and got into another Mitsubishi Attrage. Thankfully, they were of the same spec, so I did not have any issue whatsoever. If the car doesn't wheel spin, I think a manual would be a better option. There is a manual option as well. Here we go. No wheel spin, nothing, absolutely none, because it puts all that 78 horsepower down so beautifully well. There's absolutely no freaking scope on your wheel spin. It's just so smooth, so refined, with a very complex mechanism, limited slip differential and whatnot helping. Okay, I'm just kidding. It has nothing of that sort. It's just disappointing to another level in terms of performance, and then understeers like mad. Like, check this out. Yeah, thankfully the tires have grip, otherwise that was also going to make a lot of sound. So guys, this is my vlog of the Mitsubishi Attrage. If in India it was launched around 10 lakh rupees, it would be much better than the Desire, but unfortunately Mitsubishi just called it quits, and they kind of called it quits over car manufacturing only, because the cars which they're making right now is quite disappointing. I'm not really happy with it, especially the Lancer. It really hurts there. Bye bye.